afternoon, everybody. You're very welcome to this panel where we're going to discuss natural capital and how valuing and accounting for it can help us drive green growth. Just before we start that, I just wanted to set a little bit of context. First of all, to explain who we are in T4Business Coalition. As Tony has said, we focus on natural capital, but basically we are a global coalition of organizations from the business, policy, and NGO communities, and our focus is on mainstreaming the uptake of natural capital considerations in both the business and the finance community. And I think we might have a slide here that shows you some of the members of the T4Business Coalition. If we don't see that appearing, maybe it'll come up in the next few moments, but that will just show you some of the organizations, and many of them are here with us today at the summit. So we have a really impressive panel of speakers that I'm going to ask to join me here on the stage, and they represent the business worlds, the finance worlds, the accounting community, and also the NGO community. So if I could invite up Ivo Mulder. Ivo is the coordinator, Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services at the United Nations Environment Programme Finance Institute. We also have Richard Matheson. Richard is the CEO at the consultancy True Cost. And we have James Gifford. James is the Executive Director at the UN Principles for Responsible Investment Initiative. And from the accounting world, we have Richard Spencer, and Richard is Head of Sustainability at the Institute of Chartered Accountants. And could I also invite Efransa? Efransa is the CEO at WWF Indonesia. So I thought it would be useful just setting a little bit of context as to why natural capital is being talked about in this panel, but we've also heard it mentioned quite a number of times. And also, why are we in T4Business Coalition, a global coalition of organizations focusing on this topic? Well, really the reason is when you think of a business or you think of a country, both of these rely on natural resources like fresh water, climate regulation services, just to do what it is that businesses and countries do. So of course these need to be maintained into the long term. But what we've been seeing certainly over the last 10 years in terms of the natural environment is a significant degradation and economic invisibility of natural capital has largely been one of the reasons for that. In economic speak, we call that externalities, and that's something that's already been mentioned a few times this morning. And the urgency of this issue is growing, and challenges like resource scarcity, erratic weather conditions from climate change are all putting increasing pressures on the system. So what we're seeing in the coalition, and what I know a lot of the panelists and the different organizations they come from here on the stage are seeing, is that businesses and also financial institutions having growing interest in understanding what their dependencies on natural capital are, what that means in terms of the risks, but also the opportunities for their business, and particularly what does that translate to in terms of the externality value in reality. And in T4Business Coalition, there's two areas that we're focusing on going forward, and one of those is clarifying the business case for natural capital. And it's very clear at the moment that natural capital means different things to different people, and we're also conscious in the interest of clarity that our own name is not very clear, because at the moment we describe ourselves in terms of the language of ecosystems and biodiversity. So you will see actually in the new year, we are going to be calling ourselves the Natural Capital Coalition, purely in the interest of trying to get more clarity for businesses behind this issue. And one other key area that we focus on are the approaches for business in terms of the how-to of doing this. And we had another big summit in Singapore on Monday, Tuesday this week, and we launched a landmark project. And this is the Natural Capital Protocol. This is basically to develop the industry norms for how you value and account for natural capital, and how a business can use those kind of techniques in the sort of things that you're doing already. So how do you use it in supply chain management? How do you use it in your financial accounting, your forms of disclosure, and so forth? So I just take the opportunity to invite those businesses and financial institutions who are here today to participate with us. Give us a little bit of your time to input into this project, because the Natural Capital Protocol will really become the future standards of how business thinks about natural capital going forward. So what I'd like to do is pass over now to our panelists.